Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Railway News for August 2023. This is a new monthly series that I'm starting, looking to compile all the latest railway news to keep you up to date with what's happening in the industry. If you'd like to see more railway news, then please drop a like on the video or leave a comment, as this will help me to get a better understanding of whether there's demand for this sort of series. So to start this edition for August, we'll take a look at the news what is happening within the company Grand Central. The company uses an entire fleet of Class 180 Adelante units for all of its services. However, lately, over the last 18 months or so, this fleet has been plagued with numerous faults and poor reliability, which has led to mass cancellations and delays on the Grand Central network. In order to try and combat this, the company has begun drafting in new rolling stock. And when I say new, I mean old cascaded units from other companies. Firstly, we'll look at Class 180 110, which was formerly a Hull Trains unit, so back on its old beating ground, but more recently was used by EMR, so that is gone on lease to Grand Central short term, but it still retains its EMR livery, but it has been rather crudely branded up with some Grand Central stickers on the side. But as for the interior, that's still very much Hull Trains, and I did see a picture with Hull Trains seats, EMR on the internal PIS screens, and Grand Central on the side, so a bit of an identity crisis there. But it moved from storage at Ely Potter sidings on the 3rd of August, and then on the 7th of August it went ECS to York and took over from 180 112 to work 1 Alpha 65 forward to King's Cross. The following day, which would have been the 8th of August, marked the unit's first full day in operation for Grand Central, and it's remained in service up until today. This video is being recorded on the 13th of August and it's been in traffic every day. I'm not sure how long it's going to be around for, but if it's something you'd like to see, then it can be found on real-time trains, unit number 180 110. It does actually show as being in Grand Central livery on real-time trains, but I can confirm that it's not. So yeah, if you'd like to see it, then that's probably the way to do it. In other news for Grand Central, and this one is probably the more notable news for the month, is that the first of the ex-Avanti West Coast Voyagers, which is unit number 221143, marked its first day in public operation on the 11th of August. It's currently wearing its old Avanti livery, but is debranded and carries no Grand Central branding either. As of current, the Voyager is only operating services between King's Cross and Wakefield Kirkgate. I'm not sure of the reasoning behind this, although I'd imagine it's down to gauging issues or the staff not yet signing the Voyager train forward to take it to Bradford. Whilst the Voyager has not operated this weekend, the paths are in all next week, so that'll be from the 14th onwards, for a return service between Wakefield, Kirkgate and London. Again, it has been cut short, it will not go all the way to Bradford. I'm not sure how long that will happen for, or whether that's a permanent thing, but definitely for next week. It's ECS from Crofton to Wakefield, down to London, back up to Wakefield, and ECS back again to Crofton. Another notable development that has taken place recently is the export of a number of HST vehicles to Mexico. The power cars are 43022, 43158 and 43170, all former ex-Great Western examples, along with a varied rake of Mark III coaching stock. I know I've seen ex-Angel Set, East Midlands livery, LNER livery, Great Western livery, so nice variety there. So they've all been loaded onto the BBC Archangel-esque earlier this week down at Great Yarmouth. Whilst the plan for these vehicles is not yet confirmed, the rumours I've seen circulating around various group chats and also some reliable sources is that they'll be utilised on the Tren Maya line that's currently under construction in Mexico tourist region. So that'd be nice to see the old HSTs somewhere I never thought we'd see them, in Mexico, and working passenger services. So any fans of HSTs, that would definitely be one to go for. So, moving on to AC electrics now, but sticking with the theme of export, is the Freightliner Class 86 locomotives, which were withdrawn from mainline traffic back in 2021. Initially with Freightliner, the company stating themselves that they had plans to overhaul these and reintroduce them to service. However, as we all know, that never materialised. In recent weeks, the first of the class, being 86622, was moved by road from Crewe Basford, where the locomotives had been stored since removal from traffic, to Immingham Docks in Lincolnshire, and then onwards to Bulgaria. The rest of the fleet sat at Crewe is supposed to be following in the coming weeks and months, and they will join the 86 and 87 locomotives, which are already in operation in Bulgaria, for the company Bull Market. Further notable AC electric news comes from fellow UK freight operator DB Cargo. On the 17th of July, Class 90039 worked the Pride of Planning private charter. Following this, it was announced publicly by DB Cargo that the entire Class 90 fleet, which at the time only 039 was operational in traffic, would be retired and stored at Crewe TMD Electric. DB operated a fleet of 24 locomotives, which are now expected to be put up for sale or scrapped. In a statement from DB Cargo, they said, "Whilst this is not a decision we have taken lightly, it is one we are using as a platform for greater engagement on affordability and availability of biofuels, which can be used in our existing fully operational diesel fleet of locomotives to lower carbon emissions and operate more sustainably." Now, personally, I'm sure this decision has divided opinions within the community, and of course feel free to comment those opinions below in the comments, but we'll have to see what the future holds for the former locomotives that were in operation with DB. Now, taking a look on the scrap scene this month, numerous Class 321 units have made the journey to Sims of Newport, coming from locations such as Wolverton Works and Worksop Yard. One move in particular, which was more eventful than others, was the PET move from Crewe. The 37 sustained damage to the coupler and had to dump the units at Shrewsbury before returning to Derby for repairs. The units sat there for several days before being dragged back to Crewe Yard, not for scrap, for further storage, so they live on to see another day. On the West Coast Main Line this month, the Class 805 units, the newly built Hitachi fleet to replace the Voyagers, have seen numerous test runs up and down between Oxley Depot, where they are based at the moment, London, Stafford and Crewe. These workings are mainly operated by GBRF as mileage accumulation and test runs. However, at least one of the units is currently being operated by Avanti staff in order for crew training purposes. So, might not be too long until we start seeing these appear in revenue earning service on the West Coast Main Line, which is probably good news for Grand Central if they're hoping to get the Voyager fleet across to them to replace the 180s. And whilst on the topic of GB Rail Freight, there has been a couple of notable developments on their front. The first being that the two Class 67 locomotives, one of which having received a full repaint at Eastleigh Arlington, have now been returned to the former operator, Colas Rail Freight, without ever working a revenue earning service for GB. The reason for this is unconfirmed, but it has been cited on various forums as due to the poor overall condition of the locomotives. The repainted locomotive, being 67027, has transferred to Westbury Yard, where the GBRF branding was removed and Colas branding applied. The other notable development is the first movement of GB's newly acquired Class 57-3 locomotives from Direct Rail Services. Various sources state that GBRF have leased locomotives 57301, 57303, 57305, 57306 and 57310. 57305, 57306, 57310 moved from DRS's Crewe Gresty Bridge Depot to Leicester LIP. with one of the locomotives carrying on to Peterborough Maintenance Shed on the 4th of August. I'm not currently sure what the plan is for these locomotives. It could be used on unit moves, making use of the Delna couplings that have been fitted to these locomotives. This could spell bad news for the company's Class 47 locomotives. However, nothing is yet confirmed. Moving on to Transparent Express now, and in particular their Class 68 and Mark 5 coaching stock. When TP was taken over by the government, the interim managing director, Chris Jackson, was appointed. He made the decision to withdraw these Mark 5 sets from the south route to Cleethorpes from the 31st of July. Reasons for this, he stated, were down to the requirement to simplify operations, the lack of crew training and the poor overall reliability of these sets. However, he has also gone on record as stating there are no plans to fully withdraw the fleet, only to redeploy them on the northern route to Scarborough. However, due to the situation we face at the moment, with the cracks being discovered, this may take some time to fully re-implement the fleet, with only a couple of sets operating per day, and a lot of the sets still stored out of action at various locations across the country at any one time. One massive development that has taken place in the last few days comes from Northern Trains. They've put out a tender, which can be found on the government website for anyone who's interested, for a fleet of up to 450 new multiple units comprising of several vehicles in order to replace the bulk of their current ageing fleet. Companies wishing to partake in this tender can submit their applications until the 25th of September. So again, this is definitely something to keep our eye on going into further editions of the series. One thing of note though is the specification for these is to either be bi-mode fitted or with provisions for this to be retrofitted in the future. Another thing worth quickly noting this month is that the 11th of August marked 43 years of the Tyne and Wear Metro, and also 43 years of the metro trains which operate it. Sticking with the 11th of August, this also saw the Railway Union, RMT, announce further strike dates in their ongoing dispute over pay and working conditions. The dates announced are both Saturdays, those being the 26th of August and the 2nd of September. These strikes aim to cause maximum disruption at the end of the summer holidays and over the late August bank holiday weekend. The dates will also affect rugby fans and those planning on travelling by train to the Leeds or Reading music festivals. If anyone watching is planning on travelling those weekends, I advise strongly to please check the timetables in advance and avoid travelling if at all possible. So finally, we end the month with a roundup of the interesting rail tours in the coming weeks. Wednesday the 16th of August will see LSL's Midland Pullman HST running a return trip between Preston and Oban in Scotland. Thursday the 17th of August sees Top and Tail steam action between Weymouth and Southampton. Saturday the 19th of August offers a great variety of tours, with steam over the Shap Summit, Sir Nigel Gresley running between Taunton and Kingswear, as well as Deltic D9009 Elistden, operating the Coronation Deltic between London and Scarborough, via both its old stomping ground, the East Coast Main Line, on the outward journey, and back via the Lincoln Joint Line. So I'm sure there'll be a few people out for that. Wednesday the 23rd of August will see steam action between Shoeburyness, Bristol and Southall. Thursday the 24th of August will see Sir Nigel Gresley out again, operating between Taunton and Plymouth. And the weekend of the 26th and 27th will see two very interesting Branchline Society tours, as they always are. Branchline, fantastic tour operator, sees some great locos, great routes, and very well priced, usually for charity. This one is for Martin House. Firstly, the Humber Super Snipe on the 26th of August, which features Top and Tail DB Cargo Class 66 action around numerous freight sidings, starting in South Yorkshire round to Lincolnshire, before heading over to West Yorkshire where a pair of Freightliner Class 70s, and also recently added is that a Freightliner Class 66-6, so a heavy freight loco, will also feature on this, so that's 5 locos again. It's also the first time 270s have worked in tandem on a passenger working. They're going to be tagged on to operate between the Freightliner terminal at Leeds, round up to Healy Mills and back to Wakefield Kirkgate. The following day, which is Sunday the 27th of August, will be a very rare outing for a pair, not just one, a pair of DRS Class 37s. It also states on the website this could be the last time that DRS 37s will ever run on passenger stock, so definitely one for anyone that's interested. So they'll be operating between Derby and Carlisle via the Settle in Carlisle. The tour's called the Garsdale Growler. Another rarity about this tour is that from Carlisle, it was supposed to be a DB66 taking over the tour. However, it's recently been announced that the newly refurbished and repainted DB Class 92029 will be operating the tour forward from Carlisle to Warrington, which is the first time, as far as I'm aware, that a DB92 has operated a passenger working in many years. Also might be the first time that 92029's operated one. So definitely not one to miss for an AC Electric fan. And then from Warrington back to Derby, it's booked to now be a Class 60. So two great locos, as well as the 37s. So great traction throughout on the Sunday. Definitely not one to miss. Well, that concludes this month's roundup. Thank you very much for listening. I hope to see you tune in again next month, provided there's demand, for all the latest railway news, facts, developments, and upcoming charters. Please like and subscribe, as this really helps to support the channel. All that's left to be said until next time, cue the music.